If you asked President Obama about the security situation around the globe, here's what he'd tell you.
If you had to choose any moment to be born in human history, you'd choose this time. The world is less violent than it has ever been.
But with rockets falling down on Israel, a civil war in Syria, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Wall Street Journal says President Obama's tenuous foreign policy may have actually fueled today's international conflicts. Ed Henry asked his press secretary about the claim and wasn't expecting this response.
How does the White House react to the notion that the president is a bystander to all these crises?
There have been a number of situations in which you've seen this administration intervene in a meaningful way that has substantially furthered American interests and substantially improved the tranquility of the global community.
The Washington Post is taking note. Dana Milbank says, tranquility where? In Iceland.
Oh.
David Ignatius calls the president's foreign policy overly cautious. Ron Fournier of the National Journal has one diagnosis for the lack of direction in the White House. He says Obama leans on three words that should be virtually banned from the vocabulary of any leader: I, me, and my. And maybe it's time for a shakeup. That's what the Post's Fred Hyatt is suggesting. What a president needs are people who will challenge his thinking and, when necessary, tell him news he would rather not hear. Eric, let me start with you. When President Obama reads, because we know that he reads editorials, we know he's pretty involved in looking at least what is the Washington cocktail circuit is saying about his presidency. I think there's a major disconnect because it's one thing to say something on the cocktail circuit. It's another then to finally get so frustrated that you start writing it on the editorial pages. But still, I don't think the White House thinks it has a problem.
Yeah,
Do you?
He wasn't being very earnest, was he, really? Look, you named three things, but we didn't name Iraq, Boko Haram, North Korea. I mean, the globe.
Central America. I mean, we could have gone on.
Yeah, Central America, the flood of illegals coming into the country here, you could have gone on and on. So, no, he's wrong. It's not more tranquil than it's been. He's not providing tranquility to the world. It's probably more dangerous than it's been in decades since, I guess, Ronald Reagan calmed things down quite a bit. Can I go from foreign policy to domestic policy to domestic stuff right here, right now? I'm sorry.
Well, it is all about foreign policy, but sure.
Just let me do this. Over the weekend, this really kind of translates why this stuff matters, why Josh Earnest saying that kind of stuff really matters. I was with one of my best friends in the world over the weekend, small business owner. He was paying $1,000 a month for health care. It jacked up under Obamacare to $1,700 a month. And the point he was trying to make was, look, I voted for the guy. I can't understand what he's doing. I hear all these scandals. These things are going on. I just don't get it. It's not working for me as a small businessman. It's also not working for, the public. When you look back, where are we in the world right now? I don't think we're perceived as the powerhouse we used to be. And it starts right here at home from the economy. I think that's where he's really lacking.
That's a good. Okay, so I'm just going to pivot it back a little bit to foreign policy and just ask Andrea the question about the campaign coming up. Because I heard something very interesting last night from somebody at an event that they think, this is somebody who follows politics quite closely, that the Republicans could actually run in 2016 a candidate whose platform is basically, I will restore America's global leadership, America's position in the world. It's very unusual for a campaign, I think, to be run on foreign policy. Do you think that's even possible?
I don't know, because I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know exactly where the heads of the American people will be at that time. If I'm to assume that we're going to continue with this instability across the globe, then it could be a good platform. However, foreign policy, if you look at the priorities of the American people, it's not number one. I mean, as Eric points out, domestic issues are number one. So I don't know who was saying that. I have not seen in recent years any candidate run with foreign policy as sort of the lead platform issue. It's usually the economy or something bigger. I mean, Obama did Hope and Change. So it could be part of a larger theme. But the president gets a lot of things wrong. First and foremost, he says that no one would want to be born at any other time but now. I actually want to be born in the 60s, so I could have been older in the 70s and experience that whole disco era. So he gets that wrong. But, Josh Earnest talks about, he was asked about the bystander presidency. It's not just foreign policy, Dana. I mean, he's a bystander when it comes to Veterans Affairs. He's a bystander when it comes to the border. There's a link between all of these issues that he's just not engaged in. And the problem that I have is earlier this week it was announced that the feds were going to look into NFL locker rooms. They wanted to look into prescription painkiller use. So now people are saying it's not that he's just totally checked out. He's engaged in things that aren't priorities. And really, if you should be rifling through anybody's locker, it's not the cornerback in an NFL locker room. It's Josh Earnest's desk. I mean, what kind of individual that's totally sane and not on any kind of mind hallucinogens would say that it's tranquil in the world? I mean, that's just crazy.
He might regret, well, maybe not regret, but that might have been a word, Bob, that he wishes he wouldn't have used. You could see he's like thinking in his, you could see the word cloud was in his head and he chose tranquility.
Tranquility?
Yeah. And let me ask you about Fred Hyatt, because one of the things that he's the editorial board director for the Washington Post. He suggests that President Obama needs a new national security team within the White House, someone to challenge his thinking. But I wonder if you think that that would actually make a difference, because President Obama hasn't really listened to anybody on his national security team before. If you look at most recently, before the Syria Red Line, Panetta, Gates, and Clinton, all part of the inner circle, told the president their recommendation was to do something that the president ultimately chose not to do. So do you think that changing the national security team would even make a difference?
You know, every time there's, generally in the 6th year of a presidency, you always hear this call for getting rid of the White House staff and changing all over. The difference is, the problem is you can change all you want. You're not going to change the man. Mm-hmm. And in this case, Obama is insular to the max. He listens to a couple or three people. But I want to go back to this one point about tranquility. It was not a good word. But you talk about Ronald Reagan. When Ronald Reagan, in the period of time when Ronald Reagan was in office, we had about 4 or 5 civil wars going on in South America. We had about 5 or 6 going on in Africa. He sent, the Iran-Contra scandal was going on. He sent missiles to the Iranians. We lost 2,000 Marines in one day under Reagan's watch. So please, you got to look at history. You can't just say, there are a lot of bad things going on now, but there have been for years. I want to know a period that you think is more tranquil than this.
But
use the word tranquil.
You're not asking me. Right?
No,
you want Eric to
I'm just
respond
saying
to that?
generally.
I think the period after that, maybe Reagan's 3rd, 4th, 5th year in, when things started to calm down, he solved the Cold War. He solved a lot of the, to say that Ronald Reagan was responsible for a Marine barracks being blown to smithereens.
He sent them in there.
But to say he's responsible, they blew a barracks up, Bob. They didn't,
Well,
that's
you
good.
say that Obama's responsible for the word I don't talk about.
We're now 7
I'm
minutes
good.
in. No, I really want to get Greg in here.
Thinking about what I'm going to eat.
Oh, okay. What are you going to eat tonight? I know that song, but let me ask you this. So the world, let's just say, the world's always messy.
Yes.
Okay, but the difference being
is
that President Obama was inherited the leader of the free world.
Right.
And one of the complaints from some people has been that he has declined to assume that position and drive it home.
Yeah. Well, he is doing something by doing nothing, because instability is his stability. For example, his tear down the wall moment is happening right now. Unfortunately, that wall is our wall. It's the border. That's an interesting contrast. By not doing something, he is watching something happen. He's not really a leader as much as he is a facilitator of an ideology. In America, in weird ways, is class project for a grad student whose designs are coming to fruition. As far as tranquility increasing, why are people storming our borders? He completely disproved the claim that people are coming here because of gang violence. In fact, it's his policies that are attracting these people here. He's not a magnet for immigration. He's a linear accelerator. The world right now, Bob, is as stable as a Pier 1 bookshelf. And Obama seems as removed as Flight 370. Nero fiddled, but Obama's playing the whole damn orchestra. He has gone. And he doesn't mind. He's playing golf. He's going to these amazing parties that none of us will ever be invited to. Mm-hmm. The belief is, and then I'll stop. The belief is when you visit somewhere, you're supposed to leave it better off than you were when you entered. Obama got it backwards. We gave him America, and in return, he gave us Detroit.
Let me just, I have to ask you, when was America's borders not under siege? One, the 11 million people who were here illegally before Obama got here, and most of whom got here after the last, when Reagan and Buzzelli and others did the immigration reform bill. This has been going on a long time. This is nothing new. So you can't hang all that on Barack Obama. In fact, there are probably fewer coming in now than there were during those periods.
But here's the difference. Never in my lifetime has a president in which, no matter what the conflict is, whether it is the IRS, the DOJ, the borders, has the political analysis been about him. It's not about the country. It's about how it affects him, how he feels. Does he feel good about this? In both of elections, we were about saving America when, in fact, we were anointing a savior. And they focused on him and not this chaos that has been created around here. That's why nothing gets fixed. To him, America's not a country. It's a trophy wife.
Well, that's a good and thoughtful point. I think that's right.
The only tranquility is the White House, basically. I mean, maybe he's saying that because he's sitting in a very quiet, tranquil White House, like a day spa that doesn't realize there's a problem. Now, Bob, you say that the world has always been full of conflicts and things like this. The difference is, though, President Obama has created and made worse certain conflicts, right?
Like what?
Okay, like Egypt.
He created Egypt?
He asked the president... Let me finish, please. He asked the president of Egypt to step aside. He did it. They celebrated. Democrats celebrated and said democracy will hit the people of Egypt. That has not happened. The Muslim Brotherhood took over. Iraq is another example. They trumpeted this as going to be one of the greatest accomplishments for their administration. We know that that's not the case. Okay? What happens is, if there's a problem and it's been made worse, you don't quit on the problem. You go back and fix the problem. So President Bush came back with the surge. President Obama goes in, creates havoc, and then leaves and doesn't solve these problems.
I would suggest to you that it was 1.5 million people daily in Egypt and the generals in Egypt who got rid of Mubarak, not Barack Obama.
And I would also point out, too, that he doesn't listen to the generals of this country. So when you say, like Ron Fournier said, bring in some new staff, he doesn't listen to them anyway. And he has his own attorney general saying that we're at a dangerous time. This is the most frightening I've ever seen since being attorney general. A little bit different than tranquil, so they should get on the same page.
May I, Robert, correct a couple of things that you said? Number one,
sure, please do.
200 plus Marines, not 2,000 Marines.
Excuse me, you're right.
Okay. Also, under President Obama, Clinton, Bush, and Obama all had about the same number of illegals coming across the border. President Obama has sent the fewest back. So you're wrong on that one as well.
Excuse me, no. I said, wait.
You said you said he's probably doing a better job than prior presidents.
The question is,
you're wrong.
How many have come? Forget sending back. How many have come in during his 6 years?
I think though that
the point being about 1 million a year and fewer than 400,000 or so.
So 6 million of the 11 million people who are here because
I don't know how many have come and gone, Bob. I'm saying the border is more porous under Obama than Bush or Clinton.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
Well, you can look the numbers up if you want.
And also, I think we can agree that unaccompanied minors, that is the problem. That is the crisis. That's why we're asking the taxpayers to fund $3.7 billion worth of emergency funds to deal with a problem that is happened on this watch.
I also think we ought to give a little credit to the fact that the first plane load of those kids went back today, and I think that's a good start. And I think that there's also going to be this thing I predicted. I think there is. It is a start,
40
Eric.
kids, right?
It's a start. The one that said no kids were going to go back.
56,960.
That's right. And you'll see another plane tomorrow, another one after that, another one after that.
I doubt it.
Okay. If I don't go, then there's going to be no time for Bob's segment at the end, and then he'll be mad.
Is,
so, up next,